everyone. So my topic is what I talk about when I talk about cycling. So basically it's like a life story, and to tell you the kind of principles and lessons that I've gotten through my lifelong experience with the two wheels. So I'll just start with a story. There was one occasion I woke up at 5 a.m. It was bright out there at 5 a.m. and I had like 6 other bodies, guys' bodies all around me sleeping and motionless. I was like wondering where the hell was I, and slowly the memory came back to me. I remember that I was actually with these guys in Japan on a trip from Tokyo all the way to Osaka to cycle, and the distance was 650 kilometers, and we tried to clear it in 6 days. So to give you an idea of 650 kilometers, in Singapore, from one end to the other end is about 32 kilometers. So it's like going from Jurong to Tampines and back again 21 times. So it's really intense. And that scenario that we were in, that was just on the very first day of the cycle. So it was really tiring for us. And from that, actually, I learned one thing, because the distance is so far, but how do we get there? And this was actually the thing that I learned as we go along, is that this goal, this 21 times, from Tampines to Jurong seems so far, but to get there on that bicycle is about the little steps that you take, step by step by step, and you'll get there somehow. And of course, later I'll share how it applies in my life. So this was the very first day I cycled, when we all set off on the trip. And I mean, along the way, we had several adventures. We found many things, like, for example, a simple thing like, what do Japanese have for breakfast? I never know, because in many cultures we do have some kind of breakfast kind of menu for ourselves, but for the Japanese, apparently eat the same thing. So, why I show this picture is because out of the 7 of us, 5 of us were actually the main cyclists. We left the planning to 2 people who are not actually cyclists. They actually drove a car to be a kind of like a safety vehicle. But the thing is that because we left the planning to them, they went really crazy, and they found like really nice resorty places, like by the seaside and all. But what that meant was, when we cycle, we had to end off at these places, and that increased the distance that we had to cycle. And many of these places that we go, out of those 5 nights that we stayed, a lot of them were actually on the hill. A lot of them were actually at the cliff side. So it was on paper, it was so nice, it was so good. But when we actually cycled, it was terrible, it was horrible. And as a result of that, a lot of things just didn't went right. Everyone was so tired. Everyone was just unhappy in a sense. But we kind of stick together because they say we had to clear this. But that kind of taught a lesson. And we actually when we came to the second night, we came to this conclusion that we needed to find a solution. And actually the solution came in the form of the Japanese railway system. So what we did was we kind of modified our route a little on the spot. So instead of having that fabulous pre-planned route we had, we took the train to clear a little bit of the distance and cycled the rest of the way. But trust me, I think the amount of strength and energy that we intend to put in, I think even with this train was much more because of the climb up the hills and all. So that gave one principle that I picked up from that no matter how well you plan something, the Murphy's Law would always come true somehow. Things always go south, so always be ready to improvise. So with these principles, I'd like to talk a little bit about my experience with cycling. So this was actually my very first bike that my parents bought for me. It's a very old school BMX. So I'm kind of limited to a small place I can cycle. I always go uphill, downhill. And I really love the experience of cycling because there is a sense of freedom, especially as a kid. Being able to go further, go faster, it's something that's very exciting. And that actually kind of led my experience of cycling led me to this feature on Straits Time, because when I grew older, I actually took the bicycle and cycled to school and cycled to work, and I bought this bike called Tokyo Bike, and a journalist kind of like linked up with me to do an article about cycling to work. So this was 5 years ago. And 5 years later, I actually worked at an advertising agency as a copywriter. And I actually met this creative director, who is my boss, who's like super into cycling too. If you see all these stickers on his computer, this is actually like some kind of safe cycling posters and project that he does, and he sells it online, and he gives it out for free online too. And he has a website, he calls 100 Copies, which he does like really bespoke designs, and he sells it all over the world. So people from South Africa to America to UK, they all buy his posters, and they actually distribute. And Japan actually, they have a Grand Prix design festival. They actually gave him the best prize for his designs. So in terms of the bicycle culture and art, he furthers it very greatly, and to be able to meet him was kind of like a like-minded kind of connection. And as I was said, right, he was so popular overseas that he was actually featured. He was approached by many magazines. Yeah, so this was actually the art that I was talking about. He was actually approached by this Korean editors. So this Korean editor, so as you can see, Sogon and Ji-won. Sogon is actually the editor of this magazine. Ji-won is the photographer. So they actually start this magazine called the Far Right magazine. And thanks to my connection with Thomas Young, he linked me up with this group of guys, and we kind of brought them around in Singapore and basically do an interview and a feature. So it's quite interesting that how cycling actually kind of expanded and allowed me to meet a lot of interesting people. Like for Ji-won, I mean, the connection with him was so strong because he was actually a product manager in Samsung, and he gave it all up to start his Far Right magazine. So this magazine, this feature that we did with him was actually for his second magazine. He was still very new in it. So this is the magazine that he's publishing, very well designed and all. He really put his all into it, and basically invited me to be a writer for it. So I've helped to contribute 2 articles in this magazine. And I mean, to me, when I first posted my first article and see on the magazine, it was a very special moment for me, because I've always wanted to do writing, and I never expected that through cycling, it would actually get me the chance to publish something in the magazine. And so what I did for that article for him was to organize a ride. So part of my cycling experience has actually opened me up to a lot of friends who are cycling enthusiasts. So as you can see here, a lot of them actually Singaporean groups of cyclists, street style. So there is a Cycle Project shop who has a shop based in Tiong Bahru. Sorry Wet is basically the name of my cycling group, the bunch of guys. That's what we call ourselves. And if you know Cantonese, right, and you convert sorry Wet, it actually means thumbs up. I think only Singaporeans will know it. I won't explain what it is, because it's a little embarrassing. Pedal Pop, so basically it's a group of girls. They call themselves the first Singaporean all-girl fixie group. And interestingly, Cycle Project had visitors from Bangkok, and they brought them down along to cycle with us. And of course, Far Right magazine, the Korean guys. So what we had there was almost like a United Nations of cyclists, and it was really interesting experience that night. Okay, so the thing is that now with this experience, right, I've never realized that, you know, cycling being part of my life, it has always been just a hobby, a passion, or a simple mode of transport. But just last year, I actually got an interview from the Land Transport Authority. So what happened was they actually created a unit called the Active Mobility Unit that is meant to focus on cycling, walking, and personal mobility devices, e-scooters and all in Singapore. They help you do the infrastructure, they help you do the promotion, and yeah. And so basically, I had an interview with them, and I got hired for that. And so my current job actually involves the promotion of cycling in Singapore. And all the little things that I have, experiences that I had before of going through that whole long journey in Osaka and Tokyo, in how things might go wrong, but things will work out somehow. It brought me to something, which is this. At the end of it all, you never know how the dots in life may connect. But as Steve Jobs said, stay hungry, stay foolish, and then you figure out how, whatever you have in the past might lead you to the future, the direction that you might want to go. It might be in you somehow, but it will surface. And yeah, and just to end it off, so I also managed to get my girlfriend to cycle with me, and kind of propel this lifestyle forward. So yeah, so that's my story about cycling in a nutshell, and I hope it will inspire you guys and give you some kind of thoughts about life in general. Yeah, thank you.